How could a wuss like Zenitsu, who could only use a single breathing style form, manage to reach the rank of Hashira? Well, the truth is that the only thing that held Zenitsu back from achieving his full potential earlier was himself. He'd always been more talented than Kaigaku. The problem was that he never believed in himself enough to achieve the level of skill he truly had, unless he was sleeping. Honestly, forget Red Blades this, Demon Slayer mark that, give my guy a few sleeping pills and you'll have one of the most OP Demon Slayers out there, as he is no longer held back by his own feelings. This means he can take full advantage of the two superhuman abilities he'd been gifted with. Firstly was his unbelievable sense of hearing. He could hear everything. That's right, even the sound of the notification bell, so you better make sure you click it. But in the Suzumi Mansion arc, Zenitsu could hear the screams of those inside before even Tanjiro could. And what's really impressive is that just through listening, Zenitsu can replicate the sounds he hears on instruments. Furthermore, he can tell the difference between human and demon with just his hearing. Essentially, he had Tanjiro's insane sense of smell, just with his ears instead. However, what's most impressive is by listening to the sound of someone's heartbeat and their blood contracting, Zenitsu can learn one's true self, as he describes Tanjiro as having the kindest sound he's ever heard. Through this, he can even tell if someone's lying, yet he still let himself get scammed by women. If you thought we were finished with what his ears are capable of, you're wrong, because he can even gauge the strength of a demon like he did with Daki. All this insane, almost creepy level of eavesdropping is what gives Zenitsu the ability to use his second supernatural skill I mentioned earlier, fighting whilst asleep. In this form, his body instinctively protects itself, allowing him to become a complete demon slaying pro. Even Inosuke thinks that he should probably just sleep 24/7, especially since it makes him smarter. Damn, that must really hurt to hear. Now, despite only knowing one form of thunder breathing, Zenitsu mastered it to perfection, following the Bruce Lee principle. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. The fundamentals of thunder breathing revolve around abrupt, rapid acceleration caused from an insane level of strength in the user's legs. Tanjiro tried to replicate the same technique in the battle with Hantengu to save Nezuko and Genya, however he admitted that it was nowhere near the ability of Zenitsu, as the speeds he can reach far surpassed anything Tanjiro could dream of doing with water and sun breathing. Now, similar to Inosuke, Zenitsu caught up with Tanjiro very quickly during his total concentration breathing constant training, blowing up the gourd at the same time despite less time spent training as he gave up. This shows that even when he's not asleep, Zenitsu does have the capabilities to push himself and level up, which we saw pay off in his fight with Daki. That's because he learned two new techniques. The first being an upgraded version of the six-fold technique, where he'd perform the technique 8 times in a row, which is called eightfold. Yeah, pretty creative, I know. But he also learned Godspeed. No, not that one.
I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am.
Using this technique, Zenitsu can take advantage of his immense speed by generating an outrageous amount of power in his legs, forcing him to achieve his maximum potential. Now, like the others, Zenitsu reluctantly leveled up further with the Hashira training. Yeah, he wasn't the biggest fan, I won't lie. He didn't even believe that Gyomei could complete his own task. However, everything changed when Zenitsu learned that Kaigaku had become a demon, causing his former sensei to commit seppuku out of shame. This is where Zenitsu's cowardice quickly changed into a fierce determination, driving him to start training immediately in order to put his mentor's regret to rest by becoming powerful enough to kill Kaigaku, bringing us onto Zenitsu's biggest and most insane feat yet, as he battles whilst wide awake against his former sibling student. Zenitsu manages to land a blow on Kaigaku which was so impressive he couldn't believe it, stating he moves like a completely different person. Kaigaku even asks if Zenitsu had become a Hashira, meaning that deep down he was frightened of Zenitsu's potential power, thus chose to become a demon as a way to truly surpass him and leave his own insecurities behind. And so although Zenitsu wasn't Hashira by name, he most definitely was by nature with his next move, because Zenitsu creates his very own form, the Flaming Thunder God. This is more significant than you might realize because outside of the Hashira, no one has ever invented a brand new breathing technique. Even Gyu is the only known member of the Hashira to have done this, putting into perspective how rare this feat truly is. And so this put the final nail in the coffin of Kaigaku, cementing Zenitsu's place amongst the very best, which he went on to prove again against Muzan, despite still carrying his injuries from fighting the upper rank 6. To put into perspective how far he has come, when Zenitsu first learned Godspeed, he could only use it twice before risking a terrible injury. But against Muzan, he spammed that shit like it was nobody's business alongside his own 7th form of thunder breathing. But what's really crazy is that he was putting the heat on Muzan without the heat. And what I mean by this is that he had no red blade to give his katana the properties needed to stop Muzan's regeneration, nor did he possess the Demon Slayer mark. If he did, it really would have been GG for Muzan a lot earlier. Oh, and we are forgetting one more feat. He thunderclapped Nezuko. Now, if you want to experience some more peak fiction, then make sure you click on this video on your screen right now.